Here's a fact that will change how you think about networking forever. Closers who focus on giving value first build networks 5 times faster than those who approach relationships transactionally. Most high-ticket closers trying to break into English-speaking markets make the same critical mistake. They focus on what they can get instead of what they can give. This creates a reputation of being self-serving, which repels exactly the kind of high-value connections they need. But there's a framework that flips this entire dynamic and turns you into a relationship magnet. Here's what happens when you walk into a networking event thinking about what you can get instead of what you can give. Picture this scenario. You're at a business mixer in New York, surrounded by successful closers and business owners. The energy is high, conversations are flowing, and opportunities are everywhere. But you're stuck in your head thinking about your visa situation, your need for connections, your desire to break into the American market. Most international professionals make the same mistake in this exact moment. They lead with their needs first. Within the first 2 minutes of conversation, they mention their background, their struggles with work authorization, their desire to find mentors or business partners. They ask questions like, do you know anyone hiring international closers? Or can you introduce me to people in your network? These questions feel natural because you genuinely need these connections. This makes every interaction feel like a transaction waiting to happen. You become the person who shows up to every networking event with the same agenda. People start recognizing you as someone who always wants something. Your conversations follow the same pattern every time. You introduce yourself, share your background, explain your situation, then ask for help or connections. People can smell desperation from a mile away, especially in competitive markets like the US. Americans are particularly sensitive to transactional approaches because they encounter them constantly. When you lead with your needs, you trigger their mental alarm that says, this person wants something from me. Your body language changes when you're focused on what you need. You lean in too much during conversations. You ask too many questions about their connections. You follow up too quickly after meeting someone. You get polite conversations that lead nowhere. People give you their business cards but never respond to your emails. They say things like, let's grab coffee soon, but never actually schedule anything. You leave every networking event feeling like you made connections, but weeks pass without any real opportunities materializing. Even worse, you start building a reputation as someone who only takes. Your LinkedIn messages get ignored because people remember you as the person who always asks for favors. Other international professionals in your network start avoiding you because they know you'll ask them for introductions. Event organizers stop inviting you to exclusive gatherings because you're known as someone who minds every conversation for opportunities. This reputation spreads faster than you realize in professional circles. But here's the twist. The most successful networkers do the exact opposite of what feels natural. They walk into rooms not thinking about what they need, but about what problems they can solve for others. Instead of preparing an elevator pitch about their background and needs, they research who will be at the event and what challenges those people might be facing. These successful networkers ask different questions entirely. They say things like, what's the biggest challenge you're facing in your business right now? Or, I noticed your company just expanded into Latin America. How's that going? They listen for pain points instead of connection opportunities. When someone mentions a problem, they think about how their skills, experience, or network might help solve it. They offer value before asking for anything. If someone mentions struggling with lead generation, they share a specific strategy that worked in their home market. If someone talks about cultural challenges with international clients, they offer insights from their cross-cultural experience. If someone needs a connection to a particular type of professional, they immediately think about who in their network might help. This approach transforms how people perceive them in the room. Instead of being seen as someone who needs help, they become known as someone who provides solutions. People start approaching them with their challenges because they've established themselves as valuable resources. Their follow-up messages get responses because people remember them as helpful, not needy. The psychological shift happens almost immediately. When you focus on giving first, you feel more confident in conversations because you're not asking for anything. Your body language changes. You stand taller, make better eye contact, and speak with more authority. People sense this confidence and trust you more quickly. This shift from taking to giving is what separates closers who struggle for years from those who build powerful networks in months. The closers who succeed understand that networking is not about collecting business cards or LinkedIn connections. It's about becoming known as someone who solves problems and adds value to every conversation. Your reputation precedes you when you consistently give first. People start introducing you as the person who helped me with my Latin American expansion, or the closer who gave me that brilliant lead generation strategy. These introductions open doors that no amount of asking or pitching ever could. The question becomes, What if there was a systematic way to flip this dynamic completely? What if you could walk into any networking situation knowing exactly how to position yourself as the valuable person in the room? There's a secret currency that top networkers use, and it's not money, connections, or even skills. This currency operates completely differently from what most people expect in professional relationships. You can't buy it, you can't inherit it, and you can't fake it for very long. Yet it's the single most powerful tool for building relationships that actually matter. Think about the most successful people you know. They all have one thing in common in how they approach relationships. They don't walk into rooms wondering what they can get. They don't spend conversations calculating what someone can do for their career. Instead, they focus entirely on how they can be useful to the person in front of them. This mindset shift changes everything about how others perceive them. The currency is generosity, but not the kind you think. It's strategic generosity that creates genuine value. This isn't about being nice or polite in conversations. It's not about complimenting people or agreeing with everything they say. Strategic generosity means you actively look for ways to solve real problems for other people using your specific skills, knowledge, and network. Most people think generosity means being a pushover or giving away everything for free. But that's not how it works. Pushover generosity looks like saying yes to every request, working for free constantly, or letting people take advantage of your time. That actually hurts your reputation because it signals that your time and expertise have no value. Strategic generosity is completely different. Real networking generosity is about identifying what someone actually needs and providing it before they even ask. You listen to their challenges and immediately think about how your background as an international closer gives you unique insights they don't have. Maybe they mention struggling with cultural differences in their international sales process. You share a specific technique that worked when you were selling in your home market. Maybe they talk about lead generation challenges. You offer to introduce them to a contact who solved a similar problem. The key difference is timing and specificity. You don't wait for them to ask for help. You don't offer vague assistance like, let me know if you need anything. Instead, you identify a specific problem and offer a specific solution immediately. This demonstrates that you are actually listening and that you have valuable resources to share. This creates what psychologists call reciprocity debt, when someone feels compelled to return a favor. When you help someone solve a real problem without being asked, they remember that feeling. They remember that you made their life easier without expecting anything in return. This psychological principle is incredibly powerful because it works at a subconscious level. People want to balance the relationship by helping you when opportunities arise. But here's where it gets interesting. The most powerful form of this currency isn't giving things, it's giving attention and solutions. High-value people have money, they have connections, they have resources. What they don't have is time and focused attention from people who aren't trying to sell them something. When you give someone your complete attention and focus on understanding their challenges, that's incredibly rare. Think about the last networking event you attended. How many people actually listened to understand your challenges versus listening to find an opening to talk about themselves? Most conversations follow the same pattern. Person A shares something, person B immediately relates it back to their own experience, then tries to steer the conversation toward their needs. True attention means you ask follow-up questions about their situation without relating it to yourself. High-value people are constantly bombarded with requests, but rarely receive genuine offers of help with no strings attached. Their LinkedIn inboxes are full of people asking for advice, introductions, or opportunities. Their email is packed with sales pitches and networking requests. Everyone wants something from them. This constant stream of requests makes them defensive and skeptical when meeting new people. When you become the person who gives first, you stand out in a sea of takers. You become the rare person who shows up to help rather than to get something. Your follow-up messages get opened because you're the person who offered value instead of asking for it. Your name gets remembered positively when opportunities come up because you're associated with being helpful rather than needy. This approach works especially well for international closers because you have unique value to offer. Your cross-cultural experience, your understanding of different markets, your language skills, these are assets that domestic professionals simply don't have. When you lead with these assets as solutions to other people's problems, you position yourself as valuable rather than as someone seeking opportunities. This generosity currency becomes your competitive advantage, especially as an international closer entering new markets. While other international professionals are asking for help with visa issues or job opportunities, you're offering solutions to business challenges. While they're networking to get something, you're networking to give something. This fundamental difference in approach creates dramatically dramatically different results. Now let's break down exactly what this Give First framework looks like in practice, because understanding the concept is just the beginning. The Give First framework has 3 core components that transform how people perceive you in any room. These aren't random acts of kindness or general networking tips. This is a systematic approach to building valuable relationships that actually produce results. Each component builds on the others to create a complete system that positions you as the valuable person in every conversation. Component 1 is value identification, learning to spot opportunities where your skills can solve someone's problems. This means you walk into networking situations with a clear understanding of what you bring to the table. As a high-ticket closer, you have skills in persuasion, market research, lead generation, and sales psychology that others desperately need. Most business owners struggle with converting leads into sales. They have traffic, they have interest, but they can't close deals consistently. Your closing skills are the exact solution they need. You also understand consumer psychology from working in different markets. You know how to identify buying signals, handle objections, and create urgency without being pushy. These are skills that took you years to develop, but other professionals see them as almost magical. When someone mentions struggling with their sales process, you immediately recognize this as an opportunity to provide value using your expertise. The key is being specific about what problems you can solve. Instead of saying you're good at sales, you say you specialize in converting high-value leads who are on the fence about purchasing. Instead of mentioning your international background generally, you talk about how you've successfully navigated cultural differences in sales conversations. This specificity makes your value clear and memorable. Component 2 is empathetic listening. Most people listen to respond, but you need to listen to understand and identify pain points. The difference is massive. When someone shares a challenge, most networkers immediately think about how they can relate it to their own experience or how they can use it as an opening to talk about themselves. Empathetic listening means you focus completely on understanding their specific situation. This means asking better questions and actually caring about the answers, not just waiting for your turn to pitch yourself. When someone mentions a business challenge, you ask follow-up questions to understand the details. You want to know how long they've been dealing with this problem, what they've already tried, what the impact has been on their business. These questions show you're genuinely interested in helping, not just looking for an opening to talk about yourself. You listen for the emotional impact of their challenges, not just the business facts. When someone talks about struggling with lead conversion, you hear the frustration in their voice. You understand that this isn't just a business problem. It's affecting their confidence, their stress levels, their ability to grow their company. This emotional understanding allows you to offer help that addresses both the practical and emotional aspects of their challenge. Component 3 is strategic follow-through, making good on your offers to help and doing it better than expected. This is where most people fail completely. They have good conversations, they make offers to help, but then they don't follow through or they deliver exactly what was expected. Strategic follow-through means you exceed expectations in how you deliver value. If you offer to send someone a resource, you don't just send a generic article. You find the most relevant, actionable resource and include a personal note explaining specifically how it applies to their situation. If you offer to make an introduction, you don't just send a generic email connecting 2 people. You research both parties, identify exactly why they should connect, and craft an introduction that makes it easy for them to have a productive conversation. You also follow up to make sure your help was actually useful. Most people offer help and then never check if it worked. You send a brief message a week later asking how the resource worked for them or whether the introduction led to a good conversation. This shows you genuinely care about the outcome, not just about appearing helpful. The magic happens when these 3 components work together to create a reputation that precedes you. Value identification helps you spot opportunities to help. Empathetic listening helps you understand exactly what kind of help someone needs. Strategic follow-through ensures that your help actually makes a difference in their situation. This combination creates powerful results. People start introducing you as the person who actually helps rather than another closer looking for opportunities. Instead of saying, "This is John, he's looking for opportunities in the US market," they say, "This is John, he helped me solve my lead conversion problem and increase my close rate by 30%. These introductions open completely different types of conversations. Your reputation spreads through professional networks faster than you expect. People remember the person who solved their problem more than they remember dozens of people who asked for help. This reputation becomes your biggest asset because it attracts opportunities without you having to ask for them. This framework turns networking from a numbers game into a relationship building system that compounds over time. Instead of collecting business cards and hoping someone calls you back, you're building a network of people who actively want to help you succeed because you've helped them first. But knowing the framework is just the beginning. You need to know how to implement it without seeming fake or desperate. There are specific types of value that international closers can offer that most people completely overlook. These opportunities sit right in front of you, but most international professionals focus so much on what they need that they miss what makes them uniquely valuable. Your international background isn't a disadvantage that you need to overcome or apologize for. It's actually a unique value proposition when positioned correctly. While other closers are trying to blend in and sound like everyone else, you have assets that domestic professionals will never have. The key is recognizing these assets and presenting them as solutions to real business problems instead of just mentioning them as background information. First opportunity, market insights from your home country that could benefit US businesses looking to expand internationally. A closer from Brazil can provide critical insights into the preferences and purchasing habits of Brazilian consumers. You understand which sales messages resonate with your culture and which ones fall flat. You know, the local competitive landscape, the distribution channels that work, and the cultural mistakes that American companies make when they try to enter your market. You understand cultural nuances, consumer behavior, and market dynamics that domestic professionals simply don't have. When a US company mentions wanting to expand into Latin America, you immediately know the challenges they'll face. You understand that direct sales approaches that work in New York might come across as rude or pushy in your home market. You know that relationship building comes before any sales conversation in many cultures. This knowledge allows you to help them adapt their sales strategies, marketing messages, and even their product offerings to succeed in international markets. Second opportunity, language skills and cultural bridging for businesses with international clients or partners. Many US companies struggle with international communications and cultural sensitivity in their sales processes. They have international clients or partners, but they're losing deals because of cultural misunderstandings. They send emails that sound demanding when they meant to be polite. They schedule calls at times that show they don't understand international business etiquette. They make cultural assumptions that damage relationships. Your language skills go beyond just translation. You understand the cultural context behind communication styles. You know that in some cultures, saying no directly is considered rude, so people say yes when they mean maybe. You understand nonverbal cues that vary significantly across cultures. You can help US companies avoid these mistakes and build stronger relationships with their international clients. This includes adapting sales pitches, translating marketing materials with cultural accuracy, and facilitating communication between US teams and international clients. Third opportunity, fresh perspectives on sales approaches that work in different cultural contexts. What works in your home market might be exactly what someone needs to break through their current sales plateau. Sales strategies that are successful in the US market may not translate well to other cultures, but the reverse is also true. Sometimes a sales approach from your culture is exactly what an American business needs to differentiate itself in their own market. A closer from Japan might suggest incorporating relationship building elements into a sales process that focuses too heavily on quick closes. A closer from Germany might recommend emphasizing quality and reliability over speed and convenience. A closer from India might share techniques for building trust through personal connections rather than just professional credentials. These different approaches can help US businesses stand out from competitors who all use similar sales methodologies. Fourth opportunity, connections to your international network that could benefit your new US connections. You have established networks in your home country and other international markets. These connections can be incredibly valuable to US businesses looking to expand globally. You can introduce US companies to potential clients, suppliers, distributors, and partners in international markets. A closer from India could connect a US tech company with potential outsourcing partners or distributors in the Indian market. A closer from South Korea could provide insights into emerging opportunities in esports and gaming. Your network also includes other international professionals working in the US who understand specific markets and cultures. These connections can accelerate expansion processes, reduce costs associated with market entry, and provide competitive advantages in global markets. You understand local regulations, business practices, and cultural customs that can make or break international business relationships. These value opportunities position you as someone who brings unique assets to the table, not just another closer seeking opportunities. Instead of being seen as someone who needs help navigating the American market, you become known as someone who can help American American businesses navigate international markets. This completely changes how people perceive you in networking situations. You're no longer the international person asking for visa advice or job opportunities. You're the international expert offering solutions to expansion challenges, cultural communication problems, and international business development. This positioning attracts different types of conversations and creates different types of opportunities. The key is learning how to offer these values without coming across as pushy or transactional. You need to identify which of these assets match the specific challenges that people in your network are facing. Here's the exact approach that makes people want to help you instead of avoiding you. Most international closers walk into networking events with their elevator pitch ready, thinking about what they need from every conversation. They prepare answers about their background, their visa situation, their job search. This preparation actually works against them because it focuses entirely on their needs rather than the needs of the people they're meeting. The difference between desperation and confidence in networking often comes down to how you frame your initial approach. Desperate networkers start conversations by talking about themselves. They introduce their background, explain their situation, then ask for help or connections. Confident networkers start conversations by showing interest in the other person's business challenges. They ask questions that demonstrate they've researched the person and understand their industry. Start with curiosity about their business challenges rather than talking about your own needs or background. When you approach someone at a networking event, your first words should focus on them, not you. Instead of saying, "Hi, I'm Maria, I'm an international closer looking for opportunities in the US market," you say, "Hi, I noticed you work in fintech. I'm curious about how the regulatory changes are affecting customer acquisition in that space." This immediate shift puts the focus on their world instead of your needs. They start thinking about their challenges instead of wondering what you want from them. Your conversation begins with them talking about something they care about, their business problems and goals. This creates engagement from the first moment because people love talking about their work when someone shows genuine interest. Use phrases like "I'm curious about" or "I noticed that" instead of "I need" or "I'm looking for." These phrase choices completely change how your approach is received. "I'm curious about signals that you're interested in learning something new." "I noticed that" shows you've done research and you're observant about their business. Both phrases position you as someone who pays attention and thinks about other people's situations. Compare this to phrases like "I need help with" or "I'm looking for connections in." These phrases immediately signal that you want something from the conversation. The other person's brain automatically shifts into defensive mode because they know a request is coming. Even if they're willing to help, they're now thinking about what you might ask for instead of focusing on the conversation itself. Share an insight or observation about their industry before asking any questions about opportunities. This demonstrates that you've done your homework and shows you're thinking about their world, not just your own. If you're talking to someone in e-commerce, mention a trend you've noticed in international markets that might affect their business. If they work in SaaS, share an observation about how different cultures approach software adoption. This approach shows you bring value to conversations instead of just taking from them. You become someone who has interesting perspectives and insights rather than someone who needs help. People remember conversations where they learned something new much more than conversations where someone asked them for favors. When you do mention your background, frame it in terms of what you've learned that might be relevant to their situation. Instead of saying, "I'm from Colombia and I'm trying to break into the US market," you say, "Working in the Colombian market taught me some interesting approaches to building trust with skeptical customers. I've noticed some similarities in how US customers respond to certain sales techniques." This framing positions your international experience as an asset that could benefit them rather than a challenge you're trying to overcome. You're not the person who needs help adapting to a new market. You're the person who brings fresh perspectives from other markets that could solve their current challenges. The goal is to have them asking you questions rather than you having to sell yourself. When you share insights and show genuine interest in their challenges, they naturally become curious about your background and experience. They start asking where you learned certain techniques or how things work in your home market. These questions create natural opportunities to share more about your background and skills. Practice the 70-30 rule. Spend 70% of the conversation focused on them and their challenges, 30% on how you might help. Most networking conversations are 80% about the person doing the approaching and 20% about the person being approached. This ratio makes the conversation feel like a sales pitch. The 70-30 rule keeps the focus on the other person while giving you enough time to share relevant insights and establish your expertise. This approach makes you memorable for the right reasons and creates natural opportunities for follow-up conversations. People remember you as the person who asked thoughtful questions about their business, not the person who asks for help with their job search. When they have challenges related to your expertise, they think of you as a potential resource rather than someone who might ask them for favors. But the real magic happens in how you follow through on these initial connections. The ultimate goal isn't just making connections, it's creating a network where people actively want to help you succeed. Most international closers think networking means collecting contacts and hoping someone calls them back with opportunities. This approach treats your network like a phone book of people who might help you someday. Real networking creates something completely different. You build an ecosystem where value flows in multiple directions, not just toward you. In a healthy business ecosystem, every participant benefits from the success of others. Plants provide oxygen for animals. Animals provide carbon dioxide for plants. Each element supports the others, creating a system that gets stronger over time. Your professional network should work the same way. You help others achieve their goals, they help you achieve yours, and everyone benefits from the collective success. This means you stop thinking about your network as people who can help you and start thinking about them as people you can help. When someone in your network gets promoted, you think about how their new role creates opportunities for other people in your network. When someone launches a new product, you consider who in your network might be interested in that solution. This shift changes everything about how you interact with your connections. Start by connecting people in your network with each other when you see opportunities for mutual benefit. This is where most people miss huge opportunities. They meet valuable people, but they keep each relationship separate. You know a marketing consultant who specializes in e-commerce. You also know an e-commerce business owner who struggles with marketing. Instead of keeping these relationships separate, you introduce them to each other with a specific reason why they should connect. This positioning makes you a valuable connector, which is one of the most powerful roles you can play in any network. Connectors are remembered differently than regular contacts. When people think about connectors, they think about someone who opens doors and creates opportunities. This reputation attracts high-value people because successful professionals want to know connectors. They understand that connectors can introduce them to other valuable people. Being a connector also means people think of you first when they have opportunities to share. If someone in your network hears about a job opening, they remember you as the person who connects people. If they meet someone looking for a closer with international experience, your name comes to mind immediately. This happens because you've established yourself as someone who thinks about other people's needs and makes valuable introductions. Keep track of what each person in your network is working on and what challenges they're facing. Most people remember basic information about their contacts, like their job title and company. This isn't enough information to be truly helpful. You need to know their current projects, their biggest challenges, and their goals for the next 6 months. This deeper knowledge allows you to spot opportunities to help them or connect them with others who can help. Use a simple system to note their goals, pain points, and the type of help they might need. This doesn't require complicated software or detailed profiles. A simple notes app works perfectly. After each meaningful conversation, write down what they're working on, what problems they're trying to solve, and what kind of help would be valuable to them. This information becomes incredibly valuable when you meet other people who could help them. Update these notes regularly based on new conversations and developments in their business. People's priorities change, their challenges evolve, and their goals shift over time. The information you collected 6 months ago might not be relevant anymore. Regular check-ins help you stay current on what matters to each person in your network. Regularly check in with valuable connections, not to ask for anything, but to see how you can support their current projects. These check-ins should happen every few months, depending on how close the relationship is. The key is reaching out with a specific offer of help rather than a general "how are things going" message. You might share an article that relates to their current challenge, introduce them to someone who could help with their project, or offer your skills when you see a relevant opportunity. Share relevant articles, introduce them to useful contacts, or offer your skills when you see a fit. The value you provide doesn't always have to be major. Sometimes sharing a relevant podcast episode or industry report provides exactly the insight someone needs. Sometimes a simple introduction between two people in your network creates significant value for both of them. The consistency of providing value matters more than the size of each individual contribution. The compound effect kicks in when multiple people in your network start thinking of you first when opportunities arise. Instead of one person occasionally thinking about you, you have dozens of people actively looking for ways to help you. This creates a powerful multiplication effect. Your opportunities don't just come from your direct efforts anymore. They come from the collective efforts of your entire network. Multiple people become your advocates in different industries and markets. When opportunities arise in their companies or networks, they recommend you because they remember how you've helped them. This compound effect transforms networking from a numbers game into a relationship system that works for you even when you're not actively networking. This creates a self-reinforcing cycle where your reputation for helping others attracts more high-value people to your network. Here's what happens to your career trajectory when you consistently apply the give first approach for 6 to 12 months. The transformation doesn't happen overnight, but the compound effect of strategic generosity creates opportunities that most closers never even see. Your professional life starts operating on a completely different level because you've changed the fundamental dynamic of how you interact with other professionals. The compound effect of strategic generosity creates opportunities that most closers never even see. While other international closers are still sending cold LinkedIn messages and applying to job postings, you're operating in a completely different marketplace. Your approach has created a reputation that precedes you in professional circles. People know you as the person who helps solve problems before asking for anything in return. First, you develop a reputation that opens doors before you even knock. People start reaching out to you with opportunities. Instead of you chasing opportunities, opportunities start chasing you. Your phone starts ringing with calls from people you helped months ago who now have openings in their companies. Your email inbox fills with messages from connections who heard about positions that match your background. Recruiters start contacting you because your name keeps coming up in conversations with their clients. This shift happens because people remember how you made them feel when you offered genuine help. They remember that you solved their lead generation problem or connected them with the perfect business partner. When opportunities arise in their companies or networks, your name is the first one they think of because you're associated with being helpful and valuable. Your network begins working for you even when you're not actively networking, as people recommend you for positions and projects. Your connections become your sales team, constantly promoting your skills and reputation to their networks. They mention your name in boardroom conversations when companies discuss hiring needs. They recommend you for consulting projects when businesses face challenges in your area of expertise. This passive promotion is incredibly powerful because it comes with personal endorsements from people who trust you. When someone recommends you, they're putting their own reputation on the line. This means they only recommend people they genuinely believe will deliver excellent results. These recommendations carry more weight than any resume or interview could provide. You gain access to the hidden job market, the 80% of high-level opportunities that never get posted publicly. Most companies prefer to hire through referrals and personal connections rather than public job postings. They save time and money by hiring people who come recommended by trusted contacts. Your network connections give you access to these exclusive opportunities before they're ever advertised. These hidden opportunities are often better than publicly posted positions. Companies are willing to pay more for candidates who come with personal endorsements. They're more flexible with requirements when someone they trust vouches for a candidate. You get opportunities to negotiate better terms because you're not competing against hundreds of other applicants. Your referral rate increases dramatically because people trust you enough to introduce you to their valuable contacts. When you need to expand your network into new industries or geographic areas, your existing connections actively help you make those connections. They feel comfortable introducing you to their most valuable contacts because they know you'll add value to those relationships rather than just taking from them. These introductions come with context about why the connection makes sense and what value you might bring to the new contact. Your connection has already explained your background and expertise to the new person, making the initial conversation much more productive than a cold outreach would be. You start getting invited to exclusive events, private masterminds, and insider groups where real deals happen. Successful professionals want to associate with other successful professionals who add value to their networks. Your reputation for helping others makes you the type of person that exclusive groups want to include. These invitations provide access to high-level networking opportunities that money can't buy. These exclusive gatherings are where major business deals are discussed and partnerships are formed. The relationships you build at these events often lead to the biggest opportunities of your career. You're no longer networking at general business mixers. You're building relationships with industry leaders and decision makers. Your income potential multiplies because you're not just competing on skills anymore. You're competing on relationships and reputation. Companies will pay premium rates for closers who come with strong networks and excellent reputations. Your ability to open doors and build relationships becomes as valuable as your closing skills. You can command higher fees because clients know you'll bring more than just sales expertise to their projects. Most importantly, you build genuine friendships and professional relationships that support your long-term success. These relationships provide emotional support during challenging times and celebration during successful periods. You develop a professional family that genuinely cares about your success and actively works to help you achieve your goals. This approach transforms you from someone seeking opportunities to someone who attracts them naturally. The question is, are you ready to make this shift and start building your reputation as someone who gives first? The closers who succeed fastest in English-speaking markets aren't necessarily the most skilled. They're the ones who understand that relationships are the ultimate multiplier for everything else they do. Your closing skills matter, but your network determines how many opportunities you get to use those skills. Start implementing the Give First framework today by identifying one person in your target market who you can genuinely help, and reach out with a specific offer of value. Don't wait until you feel ready or until you have everything figured out. Pick someone whose challenges match your expertise and send them a message offering concrete help. Your network will become your net worth, but only if you're willing to invest in others before expecting returns for yourself.